Okay, I'm here with Dr. Reinhard Opitz, World War II veteran and one of the few men to ever have flown the Messerschmitt Me163 Komet rocket fighter. Dr. Opitz, what made you become a pilot?
I started my pilot experience in 1938 with glider education, and 1940 I had in those time the private pilot license for gliders.
Okay. Can you tell me about your initial training? Where did it take place, and what aircraft did you learn on?
I started the aircraft education in Berlin in 1941. The Luftwaffen unit was the name Luftkriegsschule. It was the education to pilot and to officer. I learned to be an Air Force officer, and I became officer in lieutenant. This is the first step in 1943.
Okay. And what was your operational history before you joined JG 400?
I was after the basic training for the Air Force pilot, I changed to a special training for fighter pilots. And my first combat type was the Me110. I finished this time, this education time, and after this time I was nearly for 3/4 of a year instructor for fighter training.
Okay.
In south of Germany, no far from here, Bad Aibling was the station in that time for fighter training. Very small airfield, but very nice, and this 110 time finished in June or July 44, and all the pilots came to Messerschmitt 109.
Okay, so did you join JG 400, the rocket fighter unit, as a volunteer, or were you posted?
War das freiwillig oder wurden Sie da hingeschickt zum JG
400? Ich wurde hingeschickt.
Du warst posted?
Kommandiert,
Yeah,
posted. Yeah. And I later on, or today, I believe that my glider experience before I became soldier was one of the reasons for this decision to go to 163, because the leading people, Luftwaffen leading people, were looking at that time for pilots with glider experience.
And what was your first thought when the concept was explained of a rocket fighter? Did you think it'd be successful, or did you look at it and think that's a suicide mission?
It was it's a very, very good question, because you understand the situation in Germany at that time. We had no more aircrafts with enough power and speed, and many pilot people were interested to change to this modern type of aircraft.
Okay. What about the other pilots in JG 400? Were they very experienced or not?
Hatten die viele Erfahrung, die anderen Piloten in dem Geschwader?
It was another problem. Mostly very young pilots without experience, without enough experience. And in that time I had nearly 20 or 25 combats against B-17, American bombers day activities. And I was one of a small number of pilots. They came from the different wings with a little combat experience. All the other people came only from the glider units and they had no experience. It was a big problem for this.
So they went straight from gliders to rocket fighters then?
Yeah.
Okay. What did the Messerschmitt 163 conversion to type training consist of? How did they train you to fly it?
Yeah, normally we started with the glider. We had at that time the Habicht. It was a special acrobatic glider from the time before the war. And this Habicht, he had a span with 13.6 meters, and different types of this glider, they cut it, the span up to 6 meters. And you had very high speed for landing. And it was the steps to go faster and faster without engine for the approach and landing. It was the biggest problem for all the new pilots for Me163. We had no engine, no throttle.
But a lot of think rate.
Ja, war nicht das Problem. Das Problem war, man musste den Landeanflug, den konnte man nicht mehr korrigieren. Der musste passen. Man musste also, wenn man zu schnell war und zu weit kam, reichte der Platz nicht. Ne?
You had to be right on the spot. If you were too fast, then the airfield was too small. If you were too short, too slow, you didn't reach it. So it was a one shot.
Yeah.
And how many glider flights did you have before they put you in the powered version?
20 or 30, I don't know. It was different to the quality of the pilots. One of the pilots, they came with a low number of flights. The others, they made 50, and it was not possible to make a normal landing system. A big problem was the Me163 was very fast without engine, because you came from 4,000 or 3,000 meters with 500 or 600 kilometers per hour speed, and now for landing you must reduce the speed for normally 230, 225 for approach, and the 163 finished the approach with 180, 190 without wheel. We had no wheel, we had only the skid.
Oops, watch it.
Oh.
So, what was your impressions of your first powered flight in the Komet?
In the airfield, the name was Brandes, east part of Leipzig.
Und was Ihr Eindruck von dem ersten Flug?
Fascinating.
I can imagine.
We had a big number of accidents on start and landing, and everybody was glücklich.
Glücklich?
Yeah,
Happy?
happy with the good end of the flight.
Okay. So where were you based? Did you ever land away from the main base? Was there alternate bases to recover to, or did you have to return to the main base?
Mussten Sie immer zum Ausgangsplatz zurück oder hatten Sie auch
Every time.
Ausweichplätze?
No, every time. Later on we had an own radar system only for our unit, and we had, if we had clouds, in that time we had not 10% or 20 or 50% clouds, and with help of radar we found back to the place.
Right. Okay. What are the safety precautions involved before you got in the cockpit? The Comet pilots wore a special suit.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. But another thing, before all the test flights and all the flights for training, they used the 110 in tow and the 163 behind. And the first rocket start, we had only the half fuel, because under these conditions we had shorter lengths to go up, and we had no problem with the handling for the rocket engine. The flight was going up to the point the fuel was empty. 4.5 or 5,000 meters, and after this landing. And every time for rocket-powered starts, we had a special suit against the T stuff was the name. It was the hydrogen peroxide. This was very aggressive if you got some material on the body. It was the same like very burning wound.
Yeah, it would burn the skin.
Corrosive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
Were there any? I mean, the fuels were extremely volatile. Did you have many non-flying accidents on the ground, of handling and storage where things went wrong?
Hat es da viele Unfälle auch gegeben am Boden während der Betankung?
No, I don't remember it. But after landing, if you had the problem was we used for the flights with 163 only solid runways. It was impossible to do this with on grass.
Yep.
Mhm.
But the landing with the 163, you must have grass, because it was impossible to do this on concrete.
So I understand the more problem was the residual fuel after the landing,
Yeah.
more than in the beginning when.
Also die Unfälle, die schweren Unfälle, die wir hatten, passierten eigentlich alle bei der Landung.
Ja.
Einmal, weil die Piloten zu schnell waren oder das Gras war nass. rutschten am Platzrand über den Platz hinaus. Maschine überschlug sich. Dabei sind irgendwelche Rohrverbindungen kaputt gegangen und dann
ist der Rest.
War Feierabend.
So the heavy accidents, they were all after the landing, usually by overrunning the field, being too fast or slippery grounds, and when the airplane flipped over, then it normally caused some breakage, some leakage in the pipes, and the residual fuel then tended to blow up.
Yeah, that is correct.
What was the bailing out procedure when you were for getting out of a Komet in combat? How would you sort of slow down to bail out?
Gab es da ein spezielles Verfahren zum Ausstieg vorbereiten, falls das notwendig gewesen wäre?
Nein. Also die Leute, die ausgestiegen sind, hatten eigentlich alle Schwierigkeiten, die Haube wegzukriegen.
Okay.
Weil die muss ich say in German, because the cockpit was included in the airstreaming, and it was very difficult to put
the canopy
away.
So basically, you were in for the ride. Once you were locked in, that was it. You had to get out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the main problem, to get rid of the canopy, to then do a standard bailout.
Yeah.
What was the highest speed you saw when flying the Komet?
Also the speed, the full. The 163 with full equipped, with 2 cannons, each 60 ammunitions and so on. The weight was nearly 4 tons, 0.3 or 4 tons, 0.4. And the way from start, from takeoff up to the point of up, there was very long, more than 1,000 meters, and the speed for going up was in middle 700 kilometers per hour.
And would a Komet have ever gone through the sound barrier? Was there anyone who...
Yes, the sound barrier was unknown for us pilots. Nobody didn't say what happened. We had on the panel, on this speed meter, on 950 kilometers per hour, a red point.
Right.
There's no more than this. But today you have in the modern planes speed meters in relation to the high. They have a specified speed. We hadn't this.
Yep.
And some of our pilots and myself also, we had the first Anzeichen.
The first indications?
Indications for supersonic. The aircraft make the rolls or the other andere Bewegungen, als man sie im Steuer eingegeben hatte.
Made other maneuvers than what you intended to maneuver.
And the only way to stop this was to stop the engine, and 2 or 3 seconds later you had normal conditions to fly.
Yeah.
So how many missions did you fly in the Komet? How many of these were combat?
I have no combat with it. We had 2 Staffeln. Was ist eine Staffel?
2 squadrons? Squadron.
In Brandis, they made, I would say, 15 or 20 combats. But the unit, my unit, they built up the organization for maintenance and so on. And ich habe im Herbst eine Staffel aufgestellt, das dauerte dann bis zum Jahresende. Und wir haben dann Übungsflüge gemacht, wenn Triebwerke klar waren und wenn wir Sprit hatten.
The main purpose of his squadron was to build up all the logistic, all the support, and so they did a lot of training flights. But this depended on the availability of engines and of course the fuel availability.
Okay. And for a combat mission, what method did the Komet pilots use to attack a binary bomber formation? Just go through. Did you keep the engine on all the time? Would they have kept the engine on all the time?
The theoretic idea was to go 1,000 or 2,000 meters higher and make the attack without power.
Yeah.
Only in fast gliding. And I believe that no more than 10 victories are with the 163, and all this came from higher about the B-17 or B-24, the Liberator.
As a pure aircraft, a flying machine, how did the Komet handle in flight? You've flown the Me-110, the Super Cub. What's it like to fly?
This aircraft was a very good thing, was every time in different speeds normally to fly. It was very nice to fly. Die Leute, die mehr davon verstanden haben damals als ich, haben gesagt, sie haben noch nie ein solches Flugzeug gehabt. War ausgeglichen, ob sie 220 flogen im Landeanflug oder mit 800 oder 850.
It was very balanced throughout the speed range, and people that had a lot of experience that this is some of the balance they ever had the opportunity to fly.
Yeah.
Do you think if it had entered service earlier in the war, it would have made a difference in terms of countering masked bomber attacks?
For the maintenance?
Hätte das Flugzeug, wenn es früher zur Verfügung gestanden wäre, einen signifikanten Einfluss in der Abwehr haben können?
No, I don't know. Ich muss es deutlich sagen, ich weiß, dass es namhafte deutsche Luftfahrtexperten gegeben hat, die das behauptet haben. Aber ich habe spätestens im Sommer, als ich zu 163 kam, festgestellt, dass unsere Mittel erschöpft sind und dass wir gemessen an dem, was die Amerikaner bieten, keine Chance hatten.
He doesn't think because from the middle of 44 there was so much mass behind, particularly the U.S. forces. He knows that some people think it would have, but he doubts this very much.
How did the war end for you? What happened for you at the end of the war?
Wie war das Kriegsende für Sie? Wie waren Sie dann? Wie haben Sie das erlebt?
Das war 8th of May in 45. The place with name Husum. It was the north of Germany, and the first British soldiers came to this airfield 4 days after the end of the war. And 2 or 3 days later, I saw the first Spitfire 21, I remember exactly, on this airfield, and 1 week later came a British night bomber. I remember Halifax, or what's the name of the other type?
Lancaster.
And a very high decorated pilot came to me and asked the clay for a truck, and I asked him, "What do you want?" And he had an Schraubenzieher.
He had a wrench?
Yeah. And
screwdriver?
I drive below one of the engines, and he looked for oil defect on the. And later I had the name of this. It was a wing commander. He came from Farnborough, and he was interested to see what happened with the 163. And we, for the next 4 weeks, we packed all the 20 or 22 163 for transport to England.
Wow, right.
Yeah.
And then Wrinkle Brown went into it.
Why was it that these were high technology and very advanced fighters? Why were they not destroyed or you know, sabotaged so as no one else could get the advances you made?
Warum wurden die nicht alle noch zerstört, bevor die Engländer gekommen sind?
Because the new German, es war Dönitz, war ja der Nachfolger von Hitler theoretisch.
Ja.
Und es gab einen Befehl, nichts zu zerstören.
Okay. You know, Dönitz, who succeeded Hitler, had given out order that they should stop destroying.
Und ein anderer Punkt, der ist heute, vielleicht klingt das etwas fantastisch, aber es war so, bei den Soldaten hat sich die Vorstellung verbreitet, auch bei den Piloten, dass wir zusammen mit den Engländern und Amerikanern gegen Russland gehen. Das war Realität.
Yeah. And the second thing was that amongst the troops, many had the hope that the Americans and British would join the Germans in fighting against the Russians.
It was a very critical situation for us because nobody knows what will be happened.
Okay. Next question. Do you think a rocket-powered fighter could ever make a comeback today?
Können Sie sich heute sowas wieder vorstellen?
No, in relation to my own development after the war,
No.
I wouldn't do this, no.
Okay. On a similar theme, had the Comet been developed further, improved, better technology, do you think it could have been turned into a research aircraft like the X-1 or the X-15? Would that? Do you think that would have been?
No, the MAN 163 was very interesting test object.
Yeah.
But this aircraft was a long distance from normal conditions to handling. You had no chance. Remember, after the flight ended in the middle of the field, and it was impossible to handle this aircraft without special instruments from the aircraft to the hangar.
Yeah.
You must have 3 people for one transport, and it would be impossible to do this under combat conditions. This is, also, wenn man das sich heute überlegt, war das eigentlich unverantwortlich, was da gemacht wurde.
Next question is sort of tell me about your after the war, the flying you did then. You did a lot of gliding.
Ihre fliegerischen Aktivitäten nach dem Krieg.
Yeah, also it was possible to fly in Germany to gliding up 52. And I had a friend, he was a teacher for gliders, and I had with him 2 flights, and we make all the things for private license. And the first aircraft flight for me was in '56 with a British Oyster.
Okay.
And after this time I had only I had a private license for many years, and I did this only just for fun.
For fun.
So,
Good.
My next question is next last question. Who has been your aviation hero? Did you have an aviation hero when you were sort of starting out?
Großes Vorbild in der Luftfahrt.
ob ich eins habe?
Ja. Ob Sie eins hatten, als Sie damals angefangen haben. Gab es da irgendein Vorbild? Udet oder?
Nee,
Nein.
nee, I can't remember this now.
Okay. All right. My last question is you've had an amazing career. You've flown, an amazing aircraft.
Yeah.
What message would you give to young people today who are thinking about a career in aerospace, but they think it might be boring? Oops.
Watch it.
Oh,
They think it might be, what message would you give to inspire them?
it is very difficult. It's a difficult question because the development will be to fly without pilots in the near future.
Okay.
That's a bit difficult now.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time indeed. It's been excellent. Thank you.